thanks for coming for an SEO topic right before lunchtime. I don't know about you guys, but I freaking love this weather. So yesterday was super hot, but I'm like all ready for fall this year. So like this cloudy, I might even be raining by the time we get out. I'm pretty stoked. All right. Has everybody kind of been going to Denver Startup Week all week? How's this been so far? Been good? All right, perfect. Well, today is a growth topic that you're at. So we're going to talk about a couple of things today, but I'm kind of curious. How many people here have kind of heard the acronym SEO, search engine optimization? We know what that means. Oh, good. That's going to make this a lot easier. How many of you would say that you know at least a little bit about search engine optimization? Oh, good. This is going to be great. Okay. How many of you know what CRO, the acronym CRO? Okay, that's about half of us. Perfect. So as we go through today, I am going to talk at a little more advanced level on SEO. That being said, you are not going to faze me if you raise your hands or throw out questions during the course of the session. So CRO stands for conversion rate optimization. I am most likely going to say SEO for search engine optimization and CRO for conversion rate optimization a whole heck of a lot. Also, like many of the people in my field, I am terrible about throwing acronyms left and right. If I throw an acronym out that you don't know, there's probably someone here that doesn't know it also. Please shout it out, raise your hand. Not going to faze me, but I definitely want to make sure that we keep everybody as present as we possibly can. And if I'm starting to say stuff that makes you glaze over, I definitely want to know about it. Okay, and then I'll ask for one more piece of information because it'll really help me. How many people here have or represent a brand where you're more consumer focused? So you're trying to get a consumer maybe to buy something, maybe to fill in a lead form, but you would call yourself B2C. Okay? All right, perfect. And then how many of you would call yourself B2B, meaning you're targeting other businesses? Okay. All right, perfect. All right, let's get going because that's going to help me a lot. So my name is Natalie Henley. I am the CEO of Volume 9. We are a digital marketing agency based here in Denver. We're about 16 years old this year, and we do a few things particularly well. So we're really well known in town for organic marketing. So we do a lot with search engine optimization, content development, social media, email content, Google Analytics. God help us, Google Analytics 4, those types of things. We do a little bit with paid. And if you have paid media questions, I can help you somewhat, but I would not call us a gigantic direct response firm. We really focus on how do we help brands grow authentically and kind of the way I call it, the right way online. Overarchingly, I'm trying to help you help yourself. I want your content to connect with your customer. I want your brand story to resonate with your customer. And I want to get you off of the pay-per-click crack pipe. That's what our agency does. All right. And then today, so I've been speaking for Denver Startup Week for years. This is a lot of fun for me. Every year, if you've been to one of my sessions, you'll know that as an agency, Volume 9, we're really lucky because we get to work with a lot of local startups all the way up to big Fortune 50s because we have a very specific set of things we do. I get the great opportunity to work with a ton of startups. But every year I like to highlight one. And this year I am so excited to highlight one of our clients, Gift Admin, who we just launched their website 2 weeks ago. Woo! But they're going to be our drawing for today, which is these gifts here. But a little bit more about Gift Admin. They make corporate gifting really easy. So this, I think what's cool about them is they definitely filled a gap for us that we needed, which is, hey, you want to keep people happy, you want to keep clients happy, you got to give gifts. But it takes so much frippin' time. So they're really cool because they make gifting affordable and easy. And then I love it because they also source a bunch of stuff here locally in Denver and in Colorado. So it's a really cool brand. I would definitely check it out if gifting is something on your mind. But they have also generously donated 2 of their premium gifts today. And I didn't know they were going to wrap it, but thanks, Jamie. That's even better. It's a true gift. And then I'm also going to be giving out at the end of the session a SEO analysis. If you were at my session yesterday, I gave out one yesterday. I'm going to do one as well today. So if you get a chance, put your business card or write your email address and throw it in that orange bag over there. And then we're going to do it right at the end. Okay. All right. So if you know anything about SEO, and how's the volume, by the way? Is this good? Okay. How's the speed? Sometimes I talk too fast. Everybody doing okay? All right. Perfect. So if you know a little bit about SEO, you know that we're not always the most popular people in the marketing room. So if you have a team and you work with search engine optimization experts, or you've invited one to take a look at a website, or you're a marketer and you've just come across one, feedback I've heard is that we're just trying to shove too much text on the page. We don't care about aesthetics, we don't care about brand. We're just trying to shove keywords into everything. That's in general kind of the bad rap that SEO has gotten. I would also say SEOs are responsible for a lot of the garbage content you've been forced to read on the internet over the last decade. And I'm really sorry about that because that's true. So as a result of that, what ends up happening is search engine optimization, when you're thinking about things like a website, a content strategy, marketing, branding, SEO tends to be a very siloed person/team/service. It is not a primary consideration. We're not thinking about how is this going to appear in search, because when we've done that, we've all learned that the SEO is going to make us write 6 gazillion pages of content on our website. We're not going to have any images, and we're not going to have a pretty brand, and we don't want to do that. So a lot of times SEO is siloed, and it's a second consideration in marketing. And for good reason. I would never, ever advocate that you have a SEO first website strategy. I wouldn't do it. But as a result, SEOs aren't always popular. So I wanted to share a story about if you think about SEO just a little less siloed, and if you think about how to do SEO the right way, so not kind of the cheating way, which we'll talk through, how powerful SEO can be as a tactic, and more importantly, how something like a search engine optimization and content set of tactics can do more than just drive traffic to your website. It can improve your conversion rate, and it can improve your average order value. And I've seen it do it firsthand for a lot of accounts, and we're going to talk through it, because most SEO companies, most SEO experts will not approach SEO this way. They don't approach content this way. I would say, in general, most marketers don't approach content this way. So today, I'm going to put in front of you an approach to developing your content, or going back and looking at your content, that not only is great for SEO, yay, check mark, from my perspective, but is really good for your customer and is really good for the bottom line. All right, so I want to talk about a client that we worked with a few years ago. This was a rafting company. How many people have been rafting in Colorado? All right, that is so great. Last time I asked this question was like 4 people. Rafting is one of those things that we're well known for here in Colorado. It's a fun outdoor state. Part of the challenge strategically with a rafting outfitter is that you can't buy the river. You can't buy a spot on the river. So the barrier to entry to rafting outfitters is super low. Get a bus, get a website, get some rafts, you're an outfitter. On top of that, what most people don't know, if you look at search volume trends, less people want to go rafting every year. It is becoming a less popular sport. 10 years ago, a lot more people were going whitewater rafting than are today. So we have a client who comes to us in an industry that's highly competitive with a low barrier to entry, and we have less and less a smaller and smaller pie that we can even go get for them. And so they come to us, and of course they want to rank for keywords like Colorado rafting, and they want us to take this site that they've built and kind of do SEO stuff to it in order to get them more traffic to the site. So we're an SEO agency, we do that, right? We do all this like SEO stuff to this brand that's steadily losing market share. So we talk through their target audience and who they're trying to target. We know it's this adventure-seeking family. We take them through a process of looking at SEO tools, looking at their content, and we kind of do the SEO stuff, right? That if you've been on an SEO team or experienced one, there's kind of all this stuff that SEOs seem to do. And it sort of breaks into 3 big buckets: technical SEO, content optimization, and links. Those are sort of the 3 major things that SEOs are probably going to talk to you about. On this particular brand, we focus solely on their content. Their technical was good enough. My argument is that in general on technical, depending on your website, you don't want a perfect technical website. You want something that's good enough, but it is not a good return on investment to just keep optimizing for tech. And for so many reasons, be really wary of links. So we focused a lot on content for them. And as part of that, we did a few different things. So when we think about content optimization and how you approach a website, it's things like the metadata. So page titles, H1s, meta descriptions. Of all of those three things, probably the most important are your page title and your H1. Basic optimization. So in like layman's terms, basic optimization for some SEO companies equals putting in your keyword a bunch of times. Basic optimization to me is putting in your keyword at least one time. That's basic optimization. And then also doing some things like if you have a piece of content or a sentence on your page that references another part of your site, going ahead and building that internal link. Some just really simple things. And then we did a little bit more advanced optimization. We were really, how do we make this page relevant? We added in rich content, so videos and images, some things like that to really make the page stand out. We did some pages with longer content and shorter content because there's some debates of how long does your content need to be. If that's a question you have, I'm happy to dig into that because that is a big topic. So we tested, okay, 600 words, 1,000 words, 2,000 words. And then we also tested things like, maybe on some pages we'll test different calls to action, so things like that. So we went through and did all the SEO stuff. Here's what happened. We saw great SEO results, which, hey, check mark. I want to see this stuff. Impressions are up. Organic traffic is up. Keyword rankings are up, right? And as a result of that, yay, we made more money, right? Usually there's a formula, a really simple formula on websites you can run of what's my organic traffic, what's my conversion rate. Let me multiply that out. If I get 1,000 more people to the site, it's worth XYZ. So usually those things have a direct relationship and connect with each other. But then we saw some things that we don't normally see. One, the e-commerce conversion rate increased on the site. The second thing that happened is the average order value increased. Let me tell you why that's not normal. So on most websites, when you start doing SEO tactics to it, what we're focused on is something called unbranded traffic. So it's not people looking for the name of the business. It's some people who are looking for rafting trips. In general, people who aren't including your brand name in their search aren't going to convert at high of a rate as the people who are looking for your brand. So usually when you start to focus on SEO, that conversion rate and that average order value tend to drop. So that was interesting. So we're getting more traffic, but we're being more productive with the traffic. That's pretty unusual on a campaign like this. As a result, in 1 year, we saw a 70% increase in revenue for them on this tactic in a highly competitive, dwindling market space. So this was a highly successful campaign. So we did what any good data-driven agency would do. We went back and went like, okay, obviously there was something real golden in here. Let's go back out and figure out if we can really dig into what we did here that really made the difference. And maybe not. Maybe it just all worked together and it was magic. So we went back through all of those tactics I just walked you through, all the kind of things that are involved in what we would call optimization, adding new content, optimizing it lightly, optimizing it more in depth, adding different images, adding videos. We went through and we really started to drill in and test, okay, which of these tactics seems to be making the biggest difference? And then we repeated the tactic. So these are some other clients that we started doing this on. It was actually great. So I made this presentation this year. I keyed note this presentation in Vegas this past summer. When I was digging through, I had to be really picky on what clients I picked because almost every client I chose, it was super easy to go find these numbers because this tactic is working so well. So here's some examples for our e-commerce guys in the room. I have a couple of clients, one Charlie's Soap. We saw a 163% increase on their conversion rate on their primary product page. This is not some random page I went off to that's like some new product. This is their primary. They sell natural laundry detergent. That's their primary product SKU. This is that page. Same thing with Globiotics. They're a probiotic skincare brand here in town. This was on one of their high margin products. And then for those of us that are a little more focused on lead generation, Colorado Christian University is actually, I'm really proud of this one. They've been our client. They were our first client. We still have them today, which is cool, 16 years later. They just posted they've had their 8th record enrollment year in a row. But this is a 285% rate increase on applications. And this is not from a COVID year. So everybody knows like the COVID years. This is all this year compared to last year because I don't compare data to 2020. It's too weird. So massive results. And then I want to take a second. So I don't know if anybody else is data skeptics. I am 100% a data skeptic. So I wanted to point out a couple things, but feel free to pepper me at the end too with other questions. But where my mind immediately goes is like, I know what they're doing. I get it. They're going out, they're driving branded traffic, they're going out, they're getting new people to brand new pages. Like, this would be easy to skew these numbers. So what I wanted to point out is that this is not about just an SEO campaign sort of rising all boats, or we just got more people searching Charlie Soap to the site. I know it's kind of hard to see this in the back, but basically when I pulled this, technically our SEO metrics are down. So we got less impressions, we got less organic traffic, but the conversion rate and the average order value started increasing, so it ended up pulling the revenue up. But this tactic basically ended up working really great for CRO. It didn't work as great for SEO, or what you would think of as a traditional SEO metric. So this is not just because I've got like a bullish SEO tactic that's just like killing it on SEO and then CRO is just coming along for the ride. You might even consider this more of a tactic you would do if you want to improve the efficiency of the traffic to your site, even if you don't care about SEO. So I thought that was interesting, so I wanted to share. Okay, so I feel like I've teed this all up really well. Are you guys ready to hear what the heck this tactic is? Yeah, right? Woo! All right, does anybody have any guesses? Okay, interlinking's your guess? That's a good guess. Any other guesses? Well, I'm proud of you for having a guess. That was great. Yeah, thank you for standing up and having a guess. Okay, so the tactic is something called relevance. So let me take a second and talk about what relevance is and why it's important. So I'm going to give you the very tactical explanation first. A few years ago, there was this whole Google algorithm update, and they implemented artificial intelligence in something called RankBrain. Once Google did that, all the SEO in the world started to figure out, well, how do we outsmart the artificial intelligence? In that moment, optimization moved from I need to insert a keyword into a page to if I'm trying to rank for a keyword phrase, there are other words that are relevant to this keyword that I need to include in the page. So, for example, if I am a bounce house service in Highlands Ranch and I'm going for the keyword bounce house rental Highlands Ranch, there are words that I need to include in my page that are neither the words bounce house or Highlands Ranch. So it might be rental, it might be the word delivery, it might be the word price or cost. So there's all these words that the robots are telling us are relevant to the text. So what search engine optimization experts have started doing is we have all these cool tools, and I'll tell you what they are so you can go find them. We take these tools, and it gives us this list of words. So it's like, I want to rank for Highlands Ranch Bounce House. I want to rank for IT Services Denver. And it's going to spit back this list of like 40 to 50 words. And then what ends up happening, which is typical of SEO at this point, is that you go and you just weave those in, right? So, for our rafting outfitter, it was, we saw the word weather, right? So what a lot of search engine optimization team members will do at that point is they'll go, we have great weather here in Colorado. Boom. Now Google knows that this is more relevant because it has the word weather. So my check mark went green on my SEO tool. Boom, we're relevant. I've optimized with relevancy. So that's tactically how relevancy gets talked about. But why this is really important is if you have a broader view of what relevancy is or why these words are appearing in this report, really at the end of the day, what Google is trying to do is they're trying to give their users the most relevant answer to their keyword search. So that's my number one tactic. If you want to be number one for a keyword, go and make sure you've got a better page than everybody else for that keyword phrase. That's another way to think about it. What Google wants is they want you to keep going to Google, because if you start switching to Bing, they lose market share and they can't sell ads. Or their ads aren't worth as much. So what they're trying to do is get more and more relevant results into the SERPs. So if you think of it more from that perspective and less like I got to check a box on a tool, that's really where the heart of this tactic lies. Okay, so step one. All right, so I'm going to walk through the right way to do relevance. So the first thing you want to do is you want to think, who in the heck am I talking to? Who would be searching this keyword phrase? Who would be coming to my brand? So for our Colorado rafting outfitters, we were targeting a planning mom. Do I have any planning moms in the room? Okay. Okay, planning moms, there's not a ton of us, but we are big spenders because we're buying big trips and we like information, we like details, and planning moms have a specific amount of stuff they want. So the first thing we needed to understand was who the heck are we talking to? We're not talking to the teenager who's like, yeah, let's hop in the truck and go up the mountain for a rafting trip. Those are great, but they're not our economic spenders. They're not the ones that are gonna buy out a trip 6 months in advance for that's 2 rafts worth of people. So the first thing is you really want to hone in on who we're talking to. Second, you want to find a decent keyword that's right in the middle of what you do. So now this is kind of interesting. I think a lot of people agonize over keywords, and there's different keyword research tools you can go out. There's like an easy way to do this is go to Google, throw in a search, and see what people also ask, and start to see what people have optimized in their page titles because that's going to show right up there in the SERP. You can sign up for a Google Ads account and work your way into Google Keyword Planner. You can go look at some different keyword research tools. One of my favorite is SEMrush, SEMrush. I think that's a great tool. There's a lot of different ways you can kind of go find a keyword. Also, strongly recommend that as part of this, you always have Google Search Console set up on your site because Google Search Console is going to tell you what queries people are actually searching. So, but here's the thing with finding a keyword. I think a lot of brands spend a lot of money and a lot of time unnecessarily at this phase. You just need a keyword that's good enough. And the reason why is so I know like I hate talking about algorithm updates because everybody hates talking about them. And every year Google does like 6 more updates and it makes us do a bunch of things. But about 5 years ago, there was an algorithm update and it was one of my favorites because basically what Google realized is that we were creating too much garbage content for the internet because if I wanted to rank for Colorado rafting, I had to have a page about Colorado rafting. I had to have a page about Summit County rafting. I had to have a page about Colorado Rafting Company. I had to have a page about Colorado rafting pricing. I had to have a page about Colorado rafting services. And all of a sudden, we were creating extremely similar content on websites because we had to go target all these different keywords. So this particular algorithm update, Google went, okay, we don't need to do that. I was like, if you're Colorado rafting, I'm also assuming you're rafting near Colorado, and you're also rafting in Colorado, and you're a rafting outfitter in Colorado, and I don't need you to make a new page or like weave all these keywords in every time you write about this. So now if you go to Google Search Console, you'll even see this. If you target a keyword and you look in your report, you'll probably see anywhere from 5 to 100 different ways that people have searched in the last month to find that page, and they're all around your keyword topic. So really what you're looking for is a good enough keyword. For most people, this is not rocket science, right? It's Colorado rafting. Like I'm a bounce house rental company. I'm a tree removal service company. I'm an IT services company. You do not need to over-agonize here. You almost don't need to have a keyword research tool unless you're just in a really niche space. If you're in e-commerce, you really don't need a keyword research tool. Okay, so then step 3, this is where it gets a little SEO. You want to throw it through some sort of a semantics tool. So a long time ago when I started my career, we called this latent semantic indexing. We've now switched to calling it relevancy because that was a mouthful to remember. There are a whole bunch of tools out there that do this because after Google did this RankBrain update, all the SEO tools were like, well, we better be able to generate this list of relevant words. So I threw a few up here that do this. SEMrush does. One that we like as an agency is ClearScope. That one's a little pricier, but it's a great tool. There is a site called LSI Keywords, stands for Latent Semantic Indexing, the old way we used to consider this. There's a little bit more of an affordable one that people love called SEO Surfer. But, I mean, you probably could do a quick search, or if you have an SEO tool you already use, I would almost guarantee it does this, where it's going to give you this list of relevant terms. So you want to throw that good enough keyword in and get your list of relevant terms. And then this is the most important. This is the spot that everybody skips. That's the most important. You want to stop before you start shoving those words into that content, and you want to sit back and you want to think critically for just a few minutes. And this was the key step that did for Colorado rafting. This is the key step we've done for our clients since then, and it's what's making all the difference. Okay, if I had cheated, I would have gone, we have great weather here in sunny Colorado. Come book a trip and check it out. But instead we went, wow, I'm seeing the words weather. I'm seeing the words parking. I'm seeing words like clothing. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? But if you think about, who are my planning moms again? So, okay, for the four of us that have our hands raised, you probably know exactly why these words are showing up. It's because moms need details. Because if I'm going to book a rafting trip, I want to know where I'm parking. I want to know if I need to bring my toddler snacks. I want to know if you have bathroom breaks. I don't want to know generically about the weather. I want to know what your inclement weather policy is. I want to know if it's bad weather. Are you going to cancel? How much of a head notice do I get? What's the policy? That's what the planning mom wants to know. So we went back and went, gosh, why are these words showing up here? And like, let's take a second and give the planning moms the information that this tool is telling us that they are demanding. This is really great details because a lot of companies pay a lot of money to go get this. It's great because we've had it for SEO tools for years, but most people aren't leveraging it. Yes, you could go do a focus group and probably find this information. You could probably conduct a survey. You could probably hire someone for $20,000 to go interview your 10 last clients to try and extract this information. Or for a few bucks, you can throw it through a tool like this. And Google is already telling you, based on what they see in other content and what they deem as relevant, what kind of information this person needs to see in your content to decrease their barrier to taking a next step. And that's the real gold here, is understanding that what you're seeing here is not a box to check for optimization. It's market research that you can get extremely affordably. I remember seeing a case study a few years ago about a luggage company that did this. So they went an expensive route. They interviewed people and did the whole market research. Let's spend $100,000 to figure out this problem. And they basically learned that when you're looking for luggage, you almost certainly have your trip already booked. And when you have your trip already booked, what you're trying to figure out is, will your luggage go on your airplane, on the right airplane that you've booked? So they started adding things to their product detail pages, not only about the dimensions, but hey, this fits on a Ryanair. Hey, this fits in United Overhead. Hey, this doesn't fit on Frontier Overhead. And they skyrocketed their conversion rate doing the same thing. It was this great study on like why understanding and decreasing barriers to entry on your content for B2B and B2C can be so invaluable. And yet so many brands don't do this. Another great one is, I can't tell you how many B2C brands I talk to that they are, spending hours and fortunes optimizing things like Amazon detail pages, product detail pages. And then you go over their website and they've got like 3 sentences and a picture. And they're like, well, we're only doing it because Amazon's forcing us. Well, Amazon's forcing you because they are masters at giving your customers what they want. We would like you to be a master at giving your customer what they want too. So if you're a e-com brand, just look at what Amazon is forcing you to have on all the information that you have on there. It's not because it's good for SEO. It's not because Amazon's like trying to win the SEO game. Like, sure they are, but what they're trying to win is the conversion game. And they know that your user is more likely to buy if they've got reviews and if they've got multiple pictures and if they've got a whole lot of answers to questions about your product. And that's what you're trying to do. And for B2B, this is even more important. We know that 60% of the buying cycle is going to be done before anybody is even willing to talk to you. They're going to basically make their decision about whether they're even interested in you before they're ever willing to pick up the phone or give you an email address, which means your website needs to build enough trust and take down enough barriers to get somebody 60% of the way through the buying process. All right, so then once you've thought critically, this is the moment where you sit back and you make a page that you're proud of. So I am a huge advocate for quality over quantity as it relates to content. What I want to see you do is have a few really great pages, not 1,000 garbage pages. I think there's this huge misnomer that Google needs content and websites need content, and I need to have at least 2,000 pages on my website. No, you don't. What you need to have is pages that you're proud of, that represent your brand well, and that if you're going to pay money, time, and energy to get a target audience member to a page, you want to be as productive with that person as humanly possible. So I like to lovingly call this the don't suck test. Write content you're proud of and that doesn't suck, please. And content that has keyword stuffed in it sucks. Content that's just filler, that's written by a robot, sucks. telling your intern who just learned about your industry 3 minutes ago to write your website content, you're going to get shitty content. Take a minute, because your content is how you're talking to your customers before they're willing to talk to you. And especially, so for both brands. So in e-commerce, we know that customers have to touch your brand 5 to 7 times. So I think a lot of people go, well, they're coming to my product detail page, but they're not buying right away. It's like, yeah, but they're remembering you. And you're capturing their attention, and you're talking to them. How do you want to be remembered? You're going to take the time to write a blog post. I can't tell you how many garbage blog posts I've read in my life. Like 3 steps to lose weight. Step 1, no, you need to. Step 2, diet, exercise. Step 3, repeat. I was like, this is thin garbage content. This doesn't matter. Nobody cares. It's a bad representation of my brand. And if I've put time and energy to get a member of my target audience to this piece of content, did they walk away with a great impression so that later they're willing to buy from me? If the answer is no, you're not passing the don't suck test. All right. That's it. That's the tactic. What do you guys think? All right. Yes. All right. So we have tons of time for questions. So ask away. And then in about 5 minutes, I'm going to do a drawing. So we had a few people come in at the end here. So there is an orange bag sitting at this table over here. You can put in a business card or write your name and your email address. I'm going to be giving away a free SEO analysis. And then we're also going to be giving away gifts donated by one of our clients' gift admin. They do corporate gifting. It's a really cool brand and a really cool site. So we have some really cool premium gifts that they have curated that we're also giving away. So if you want to walk away with a present, throw in your email address, and we're going to do a drawing in just a minute. Let's take a few questions, and then we're going to do the drawing. Okay, so you had your hand up first, so you go first. That's a great question. So the question is, how much of this, if you're an e-commerce brand, how much of this content goes on the product detail page versus the homepage? That's a great question. Most of this goes on the product detail page. Yep. So when you're an e-commerce, homepage is important. I'm not saying that it's not, but your more important pages are going to be your category pages, because that's where people are most likely going to land on your site when they haven't heard of your brand. And then your product detail page is the page that sells it. So what you want to do is decrease the barriers to entry. So questions that people might have about why isn't someone buying this? They want to, I know, like what I hear a lot is, oh yeah, but we're trying to keep the page clean and simple and pretty so that people focus on the add to cart. It's just like, yeah, people aren't hitting add to cart because they can't find the add to cart button. They don't have enough information to feel like they're ready to hit add to cart. I think that's the big thing when you think about it. You want to make sure there's enough content on that page that someone feels confident that they have their questions answered and they want to add to cart. Great question. Okay, next question. Go ahead. Yeah, they are. Yep. Yep. Okay. So the question is, gosh, early on, these AI tools were creating pretty janky content, but now they're getting better and better. What's your take on artificial intelligence content writing tools? So I've seen a few over the days. So the tool that I like the best at the moment is Jasper. So the tool is called jasper.ai. The reason why I like Jasper is it does a nice job, but you can't just set that thing on autopilot. So like, for example, like a tool like Jasper, if you're, let's say I'm a tree removal service, since we talked about that a bunch yesterday. So, and I want to have like a tip, like, okay, 10 tips to figuring out if you need to remove your tree. What you do is you decide that's what your article is going to be about. And then you go to Jasper and you go, okay, Jasper, tip number 1 is look at your regulations in your neighborhood. And you actually tell Jasper what those tips are. And then you go through and you set your tone. So it's AI, but it's not AI just totally unleashed. So it'll write a few sentences and then you keep giving it direction. So what's great about a tool like Jasper, in my opinion, is it can really increase how much content you're able to produce. But I would just be really like, so in this, like, it's like, hey, if we want to talk about parking, you know, AI tool might not be able to talk about parking at your specific location. So there might be content you'll have to go back and add in. But on some things, an artificial intelligence tool can look up some information and get some content written. So what I like about Jasper is it helps you increase how much content you can develop. But I do not advocate just letting an AI tool go for it. And so far, the algorithms aren't doing great. But I will say that, so like our most recent algorithm update is the helpful content update. And I think that's going to really put a lot of brands who have created a lot of garbage content in a bad spot. And I have to say, I'm okay with it. But I think there's going to be a lot of artificial intelligence written content that's going to come under scrutiny with that particular update. But it's really about, one, what you tell the tool, and then two, the editing and the oversight you provide before you go, boom, this content's ready. So I'd say like it can do maybe 50% of the work for you on content, but it can't do 100%. So that's my take on artificial intelligence content. Go ahead, Jeff. Yep. Yep. That's a great question. So the question is, what do you do when you're an e-commerce brand and you have a whole lot of similar content? You could see this with like collection pages. Like we worked with Dillard's, and it's like little black dress, little black cocktail dress. Like it's gonna kind of load the same collection page. And then when you kind of go into dress information, there's a lot of key information that's sort of similar page to page. So a couple things when you're e-commerce. One, Google knows duplicate content's a thing. So I don't think you have to over agonize about it the same way. Doesn't mean that you get a carte blanche pass, but you don't have to be as worried that your product detail pages are super similar. Google can tell that even though you have some similar content, you also have different product SKUs. There's also a great just technical tactic in SEO called rel canonical. So this was a really big one we used for Dillard's, where you basically put something in the code that basically goes, hey, I want this page to exist. I want people to be able to get to it, but you don't, like, I know right now these 100 pages are super duper similar. Like for Dillard's, little black dress, little cocktail dress, blah, blah, blah. This all is creating all these collection page URLs. I want to rel canonical all of these to my main little black dress page. So Google knows that you have 100 duplicate pages or something really similar, and you're just pushing all the SEO value to that one page. So technically, that's a really great tactic. And then also too in e-commerce, it's still a problem. You still have to think about it, but it's not quite as agonizing. And then you really do want to think about, like, so it kind of depends on what some of that content is. So you want to have product specific information, but let's say you come to a product detail page and you're like, man, people want to know more about Dillard's and why we exist. That is why the About Us page exists. Like that's, for some of that stuff, there's appropriate places for that to live that aren't exactly on the PDP, product detail page. Good question. All right, go ahead. Testimonials, okay. Yep. Yep, great question. Okay, so the question is testimonials. I'm a startup. I've got clients who want testimonials. They don't have any, but they know it's important for the site. So there's the main thing is that if you don't have testimonials, what I do not want you to do is go make them up and throw them on the site. You're gonna have to wait. So you can't make up product reviews. But what you can do is incentivize people to give you product reviews, or go, hey, friends and family. So this is what a lot of startups do. Friends and family, hey, I really need 5-star reviews. I need a 5-star review on Amazon. I need it on the website. I need this and I need that. And you kind of get your initial network. You don't need 6 zillion. You need a few to get the ball rolling. And then you want to just keep thinking about what is your review collection strategy. So if you're a local service company, there's great tools you can use of like, how is your service? If it's 4 or 5 stars, here's places to put a review. If it's below 4 stars, here's a customer service email. So there's different ways to work on that, but that is a huge thing, is really thinking about how you get those reviews. And I would be very, very careful. So on Amazon specifically, Amazon has started heavily cracking down on what they're considering fake reviews. So I'd be very, very careful about services that are doing things like offering to sell you reviews, or like, oh, you trade us product, and then I got 20 people who do reviews and blah, 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 and it's $1,000. Amazon's cracking down really hard on that. So just would be really leery about anybody who's like, oh, I got a team of people that you can buy a review from. My 2 cents is that that's a careful way to do this. But early on, what you want to do is think about where that's going to live on that product detail page. But in a lot of sites, you don't have to turn that feature on until you can start collecting a few. So like Shopify is a great one. So there's a lot of great e-commerce site platforms out there, but I think Shopify is one of the best. So, all right, go ahead. How SEO and what are changing? CRO. Okay. So how do I think SEO and CRO are changing based on how many people are searching on TikTok? So it's a great question, and it actually is one that warms my heart a little bit because I really dislike how much the world has become Google centered. Like, it's not good for us as a society. It's not good for business long term. So like when I started, we talked a lot about Bing and Yahoo and all these other search engines, and now all we talk about is Google. So I think it's great that it's broadening out a little bit. In addition to TikTok, like other things I would say people search on a lot, Amazon. So if you're selling a product, 70% of your searches are starting on Amazon. They're not starting on Google. How people are searching on YouTube. YouTube has, if you consider it its own search engine, it's the second biggest in the world. So there's all the other places that people are getting information. So, and this is the big thing, is that I definitely would think so when I talk high level with brands, what I go is, listen, these are all these are tactics, right? I want to get people on Google. I want to get people on TikTok. I want to get people on YouTube, right? So the way the world works and the way marketing works is we have a message and we have an audience, and all of these are different channels to which we are connecting with our audience. If your audience is on TikTok, you need to be thinking about a TikTok strategy. If your audience is not primarily on TikTok, you need to figure out where they are. And if Google's one of those places, statistically, it's most likely they are, then you want to have a strategy for that. And if long term they're not on Google, or they're more and more on TikTok, you really want to be thinking about it. So you want to think, where's my audience spending the time? Like, a lot of people go, oh, Facebook's dead. I'm like, yeah, Facebook is dead for some brands, but it's not dead for all brands. And you really need to be thinking about, gosh, is my audience on Facebook? And if my audience is a little bit older, yeah, they're on Facebook. It's super relevant. You should have content on there. If your audience is Gen Z, you really should be thinking about TikTok. And really kind of figuring out, we just did a really cool like Twitch strategy for one of our accounts, and just what you want to be thinking about with things like TikTok is more just where's my audience spending their time, and what do they want to consume for information. But here's the big thing with TikTok, and honestly with most of us, is don't just create content for the sake of content. Don't have an inauthentic message. So like TikTok, like one of the worst things you can do is just start creating like Instagram reels and like you would for your brand, and then throwing it on TikTok. Your audience is not going to appreciate how inauthentic that is and how little you understand TikTok. And if you don't feel like you can be authentic on that platform, find ways that you can connect with your audience. Because sometimes your audience is on a platform, but they don't want to hear from you on that platform. And that's okay. Figure out where they do want to hear from you, where it does make sense, and connect with it. So that's a great question. Go ahead. You want to gate a lot of content. Okay, great. So the question is, we got a B2B brand and I want to gate content. So I'm not against gated content. Keep in mind that is not GDPR compliant. So hopefully you're not targeting internationally, but if you're here in the US, you can gate content to get email addresses. So the big thing I would say with that is that gated content is a great strategy. So in general, I would submit the most important metric you can have for your digital marketing campaigns is not e-commerce sales, is not Facebook followers, is not how many impressions am I getting on social media? It's not even how much traffic am I driving to the website. Those are all really great KPIs. I don't think you should ignore them, but I think one of the most important things you can be doing is gathering email addresses. Because, and I'll give an example. So I've spent the last decade helping a lot of brands spend a lot of money to get Facebook followers. And now Facebook is making us pay a fortune to get in front of a small percentage of those followers. Because guess what? We don't own them. Facebook owns them. But when you have an email address, they're in your audience. You can retarget them. You can send emails to them. You can get their contact information. So getting email addresses is a vital KPI for almost every brand I talk to. And for B2B, having gated content to extract those email addresses is really great. So here's what I would say is that you want to think about, like, especially on conversion rate optimizations, you want to keep it simple. Some of the best brands have a few great pieces that you download. You don't have a gazillion. And then just know it's part of the strategy, right? You're going to need content that's available. There's thought leadership that people can come to. And then you want a compelling reason of why they should download it. Why should they should take that next step. You can't just have gated content without a way to build up the value of that gated content. If you have a company that are like, we don't want to put any thought leadership out there, we want it all to be gated. One of your best tactics might be to look at something like LinkedIn ads, because gated content works really well in LinkedIn ads. But that's an expensive way to solve a problem that a really healthy content strategy would also solve. So, yeah, but I don't think it's bad. Go ahead. Okay. Yep. Yep. So that's a great question. So the question is, he produces a lot of content, and it's a pretty technical topic, really specific, really technical. And he's asking, is it better to have a super page where you have all that content on one big page, or break it out into other pages? Like from an SEO perspective, it doesn't matter all that much. But I would want to look at your page and be like, okay, well, if this is going to be more than 10,000 words, it's going to probably need to be more than one page. So what you want to think about is the usability to get to the content. How easy is it for my customers, right? Like, yeah, you could put your whole website on one page, but the reason we have navigation is to make it easy for our customers to get to information, and that's what you want to be doing. If you need that many words to describe a really technical topic, so great example, we work with some brands that target IT professionals. IT professionals want a lot of details. They don't want a lot of superfluous language, but they like downloading white papers. They like technical specs, and they need lots and lots of content about a specific, piece of code or how a computer system works before they feel comfortable taking a next step. On a lot of that content, it makes sense to have it on that page. But if you're starting to build like huge hunks of information, you just want to break it into a really usable way to get through the content. Something you might take a look at is how HubSpot does something they call pillar pages, because they're doing that same concept of they're trying to break up a big topic into hunks, and they do some nice things with usability on that. So that's what I would look up, is the HubSpot pillar pages, just to see if that model looks like it would work for you. You don't have to be on HubSpot to use it. It's just how they break their content up. Yes, go ahead. Okay. Okay. Yep. Yes. Okay. How big is the site? Oh, sorry. She's talking about, so they're redoing their whole site, their whole brand. She's trying to figure out, when do you start thinking about SEO when you go through a process like that? How big is the site? Okay, 6 pages in a blog. Are you getting a lot of SEO traffic now? Okay. Okay, got it. So she's not getting a lot of SEO traffic now. SEO is not a big thing on the site at the moment, but maybe long term they want to have it ready. So, all right. So going through a website relaunch used to be my favorite tactic to recommend to people for improving your SEO results. Now it's one of my least favorite. If you want to tank SEO rankings and results, relaunch your website. Google seems to hate it. So if you have a big brand or you have a lot of SEO traffic and you want to save that going through a launch, you probably want to talk to an SEO expert sooner versus later. We also, if you are going through a process like this, shoot me an email afterwards. I have a nice launch support checklist I can send you, just of kind of the things to be looking at as you go through the process. So when you're thinking about SEO and a website launch, from an SEO standpoint, we don't care about images or colors, but we do care if you make a decision like to delete half your text, or we don't want navigation anymore because navigation isn't cool. Navigation's still cool, guys. We should have it. So there's some big decisions you can make along the way that it can impact SEO and especially take down your rankings. So if you have a lot of traffic and are going through a process, I would talk to an SEO sooner versus later. If you don't, I never advocate going through a brand refresh from an SEO only or SEO first perspective. You kind of want an SEO in the room as you start to make key decisions. So if you're going to massively change, for example, the navigation structure, you probably want someone to take a look at it. If it's going to stay about the same, but you're making a new brand name and some new imagery, you might not need to worry that much about SEO until you get after the launch. Or kind of, there's a few things you want to check during the launch. Like, man, do we put this on a secure domain? Hey, do we have analytics set up properly so we can track it? Hey, we have 2 keywords we care about. Are we paying attention to those as we go through this process? So you might have a few things like that. But if it's a small site and SEO is not a giant consideration, I don't think you need to hire a SEO consultant way ahead of time. If you were a giant e-commerce site that was driving lots of organic traffic, I absolutely would. So great question. Any other questions? And then we're gonna do one more question, then we're gonna do the drawings. So I know that's what everybody's hanging out for. Yeah, go ahead. Yes. Well, okay, so are they in those cities? Whew. Yeah, but it's not great. So the question is, so there's this tactic with businesses where they're a service provider. So like Volume 9, I have a physical location here in Denver, but man, I'd love to get more people in Phoenix. So could I create a location page saying I'm a digital marketing agency with Phoenix, but not have a physical address there to see if that ranks? That tactics has worked more in the past. It's working less and less. I don't strongly advocate for it. Google can tell you're not in Phoenix. So, all right, let's do the drawings. Did everybody put their name in? Okay. Well, if you didn't, it's too late because we got to use drawings because everybody wants to get to their next section or to lunch. Okay. All right, and you definitely have to be present to win because you got to take the present with you. Okay, first person, Scott Gray, S Gray 123. Okay, you get one of these presents. Why don't you come pick one out? Woo! Yeah. Yeah, you could even, yeah, you should open it. Tell us what's in it. It's a Colorado Mule kit, so I bet that is related to a Moscow Mule. Okay. All right, next up is Will Jones, Saved by Package Protection. Oh man, look at this whole section. Oh my gosh. Okay, Will, you can either choose a president or an SEO analysis. Which one do you want? Get it. Let's see what's in it. Start. You could stay right there and open it. Let's see what's in it. What's it called? That's fair. Cozy. Oh, I know what this one is. It's the cozy one. And then, yeah, Jamie, as they're opening these up, come talk about gift app for just a second. And thanks for donating these. Okay, so this is for the SEO analysis. This is Josephine Agrawal. Are you still here, Josephine? Oh my gosh, it's still this section. Okay, well done, this section. Here, come on up, Josephine. Here. All right, I've got a notebook for you and then a voucher for the analysis in there. You're welcome. All right, thank you guys so much for coming. If you have more questions, I'm going to hang out. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great rest of Denver Startup Week and have a great rest of your day. Hopefully nobody gets rained on. So